Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Amber Campbell. I am an author and a freelance editor. I am repping pink today because my next poetry collection, Miss Arrows, comes out next month on February 13th. So today I want to talk about creative writing degrees, especially if you're someone who is currently in a bachelor's program to earn their creative writing degree, or if you're someone who's graduated with one, like me, and you want to know what you can do with it. I am not the best example to look at necessarily because I spent 7 years out of the writing industry, including publishing, editing, teaching, everything. And then I found my way back to it in 2022. But maybe that'll help some of you who graduated more around the time I did, who aren't sure what to do with it, but you would like to go back to it. And I wanted to dive into some tips I have for you for businesses and jobs that you can look into if you've got a creative writing degree. Let's dive right into it. The four major industries that you can look into are writing, editing, teaching, and publishing. And I do have my notes in front of me. If you see my eyes go down, that's what I'm looking at. There's a lot of information for this video. So let's dive into the obvious one, which is writing. You do have a couple options here. You can go traditionally published, in which case you want to look at querying an agent. Could take anywhere from 3 months to 2 years to land an agent, and that's just the average. There are some authors who spend far longer than 2 years. There are some who land an agent in the first round of querying. Don't base yourself off them. It's very rare for that to happen. But you also want to look on to getting an internship. This is actually the route I went when I first graduated. Just for reference, I graduated with my BA in creative writing back in 2014. So we're coming up on 10 years. But if you get an internship, you can go for a publishing intern, an agent intern, or a social media intern. I went with the agent intern. I was with a literary agency from 2015 into 2016. I think I spent about a year and a half with them, where I learned all about the agent life, how they pick their next authors that they want to represent, and kind of what their day-to-day life looks like, and also some of the editing that goes on behind the scenes before they start reaching out to publishing houses. I really loved it. I do want to say though, it was unpaid. Most of the internships in publishing will be unpaid. That is just how it goes. If you go back and even look at like Michelangelo's time, artist internships were usually unpaid. That's just the way it goes. That's how it still is, unfortunately. There are some you can find, I've got links down below, by the way, of internships that maybe pay anywhere from $12 to $15 an hour for anywhere from 15 to 20 hours a week. But the paid ones usually have to be in-house, and if you're someone like me who does not live in Massachusetts or New York, where most of these are, you're not going to be able to apply to those. Mine was remote. Hi, Coco. I'm set up in the very front of the shed this time, so the door's open because I have natural lighting. But she's not the one who jumps. That would be Lolo. Anyway, if you're not in those areas, it's going to be hard for you to land a paid one. So I did that, but I also had 2 other part-time jobs that were involved in writing. One was a copywriting gig. Not for me. I am not a copywriter at all. And then the other one, hello, you're not even on the frame, are you? No, you're not. Let me see. I know. Do you want to come? Hold on. Come on. Yeah, we're doing a video. Come here. You want to see the video? Say hi. Say hi. Yes. Okay. There you go. You're good now. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. We good? Can I go back to filming? No. Okay. Good. This is gonna go in bloopers, or maybe it'll go in there. We don't know. Go get the squirrels. Squirrels? Okay, we're good. For like 5 seconds. The last note I want to talk about in terms of traditionally published writing is going to be networking. So the way I actually landed my internship was way back when X was Twitter, and you actually had publishing, writing, and agents on Twitter, and they were very active, and they would talk to a lot of us, and that's how I found it. This literary agency was advertising they needed an intern, a reader for YA and MG, which is what I specialize in now for my editorial services. And I applied. I think it took about 5 weeks to really confirm it, and then I was in. So, but there are websites, as I mentioned, linked down below, but that's another good thing. You want to network because publishing is a very niche market, niche industry, and everyone talks to everybody. So you want to be friendly. Do not burn any bridges because you could kind of blacklist yourself. So you just want to network. You want to be friendly. Don't come off as, oh my gosh, I'm looking for an agent. Talk to them like people, It's the same as dating. don't come off desperate. Just come off as a friend. You'll go way further with it. So my dream was to get traditionally published for a very long time. I started writing when I was 10, completed my first novel, well, my first manuscript when I was 11, and from the ages of 11 to 24, I believe I finished 8 or 9 manuscripts, I'm not really sure. But like I said, I took a hiatus, a 7-year hiatus, just did not touch writing, didn't do anything, and then got back into it in 2022. And so since then, I have self-published, sorry, that would be a motorcycle. I live in the country-ish city part, so there's a lot of trucks and motorcycles. But I did go ahead and self-published my first collection of poetry in September of 2023. Like I mentioned, my next poetry collection is coming out next month. I do have another one slated for August of this year. And so that is another way to go and get published much quicker. As I mentioned, if it takes you 2 years to get an agent, it's going to take you 2 to 3 years to land a publishing deal. And when I say that, I mean go from agent to being published. It's going to take you a minimum 2 years for your debut to be published. That is just how it goes. After that, you can work on one every year. But I don't know many traditionally published authors who get published on a title published more than once a year for more than one title, unless you're writing different genres. I know some of them will publish like an MG and then a YA, and so that's more okay, but yeah, you're not going to publish a lot of books like you see some of these self-published authors do. And if that's not your thing, that's totally fine. But if you actually want to start the author part of your journey, self-publishing is going to be much faster. And that is going to involve more money up front. So traditionally published, of course, you get your advance, you get your royalties. Your royalties might be anywhere from 50 cents to $1 per sale, versus indie publishing, you can make anywhere from $2 to $4 per sale. You're going to probably make less sales, you'll make more money, you figure out which one works best for you and your finances. Also, you're going to, as I mentioned, pay everything up front. You're going to look for editors, cover designers. If you're going to do marketing, are you going to do paid marketing? You're going to try to do just social media? It's completely up to you. You'll want to find critique partners, you want to find beta readers, and then ARC readers. I actually just posted a video not too long ago about ARC readers and how I found them. I ended up finding 20 ARC readers and only paid $23 in marketing and advertisement for it. So if you want to check that out, I'll card it somewhere over here. But that was something that you also need to think of. So you want to save money where possible, but don't go cheap. We all know, if you think of a cover that you looked at and thought, wow, that looks like it was made in Microsoft Paint, that's not a good cover. That's not what we're going for. We want it to look like it was traditionally published. We want to blend in. That is the biggest scene with writing. Your cover has to blend in. Your story doesn't necessarily have to match every single one out there. If you're writing a fantasy, you should have fantastical elements. If you're writing a romance, you should have happily ever after, things like that. However, the cover needs to blend in so that readers will pick it up. Also, we want to aim, as I mentioned, a minimum 1 title per year, because as indie authors, we control the publishing process speed. So you do not have to write and publish a book once every 3 to 4 months like some of these indie authors do. If that's not your thing, that is okay. That's not my thing. I think 3 a year would be my max, and that's only if I had them written and done and kind of set up for a fast release, like a series. But you do want to aim for 1 a year. Otherwise, as a self-published author, you can be forgotten about by readers. So you want to maintain that momentum there, because these readers are voracious and they will read a book in 24 hours. So if you're only putting 1 out every 2 to 3 years, they're not going to remember that they read this one way back when. Lastly, for the writing category, this is a long one, I do apologize, is going to be anthologies and small publications. You can do these whether you want to be self-published or traditionally published. But short stories, poems, creative nonfiction, shorter pieces like that, you can build your publication list so that when you query agents, you can say, hey, I've been published, other small publishers have picked up, they saw that potential in it, they saw the creativity and genius behind it. And you can do this to build your author platform as well if you're an indie author. So you can go ahead and post excerpts of it if the publisher allows it, and really drive that momentum, drive that traffic. If, you can say, ask maybe your small publisher, if they have a questionnaire to see if maybe how many people are buying it because of what you're posting. Not many probably do, but it's always something you can ask. And just to say, hey, I'm driving traffic to this and they're selling copies, so my name is doing something. That is what big publishers are looking for nowadays, unfortunately. That's one of the catch-22 of social media, is that you can build your author platform before you've actually published your first title. And anybody who's got 10,000 followers without publishing, but they talk about writing and authorship, is going to land an agent a little bit faster than someone who has no social media presence for their author platform. Just because now that agent knows potentially 10,000 could buy it, follow the rule of three, then at least 3,300 people will buy their book as soon as it comes out, which is a guarantee. So that's what they're going to look at. But again, you can just go for the small anthologies and, online publications. That's actually how I got started. My first publication was in 2013 in a poetry anthology put together by the 2010 Texas Poet Laureate Carla K. Morton. It's called Hometown Texas. I don't know where you can find it. I think you can find it on Amazon still. It was published by TCU Press, which is a local university press here in DFW. And then I was published in 2014 with two pieces, an ethnographic journalism piece by, was that The Prospector? I think it was my university's newspaper. And then Borderzine, which was my university's online literary magazine, for a short story. So I had all three, creative nonfiction, poetry, and short story, by the time I graduated. So you want to look at that. Anything to add to that portfolio is really what you're looking for in terms of building up your writing credentials. Okay, so my next sections are considerably smaller, so I do want to take a little bit of a tangent here and give you some advice and just let you know, hey, if you can minor in anything, if you're majoring in creative writing, the best things to do are business or marketing. My mother told me to do this, but as an 18 to 22-year-old, I was like, I'm not interested in business, I'm not doing that. Flash forward 10 years and I'm now the owner of my own business, but that's not the point. But looking at it, for most writers or graduates with creative writing degrees, you're going to end up having something of your own business. Whether you are writing and self-publishing, you could be editing, freelance editing like I am doing. Maybe you're trying to just do the self-publishing thing, but maybe for some of your colleagues, you could do a publishing company, not a publishing house, not the same thing. But you could do your own publishing company. All of those require you to understand business. Or if you just want to look at the writing part of it, you need marketing. That is a huge thing, especially because it changes so often. But having that in your back pocket to know the foundation for marketing or even business is only going to help you further. So my minor is not in business or marketing. I have debated over and over going back and getting a second bachelor's in general business or marketing, but now I'm just kind of taking courses on like Udemy. Not sponsored or anything, but that's what I've been doing. I try to take at least one course every quarter of the year. It was monthly, couldn't quite hit that in. But if you're able to, if you're still early enough in your college career to do that, or if you'd like to get a second bachelor's in that, I would highly recommend it because that will definitely make its money back depending on how much money you put into earning that degree. It's getting very cold. I want to say it's like 40 degrees outside. The door's open, so I have a sweater on, but we're gonna go a little faster if I can. Next up is gonna be editing. So as I mentioned, I am a freelance editor. I got started on Fiverr, and so I started that in October of 2022. We are now in January of 2024. Since then, I have served over 85 clients, and about half of those were for beta reading. And beta readers, you do not have to pay for them. If you want a more in-depth report, my reports range anywhere from 4 to 8 pages long in everything I look at in terms of plot, character, dialogue, POV, all that good stuff. And so if that's what you're looking for, my rates start at $65 up to 50,000 words. But you can also find one for free. But if you want to be a freelance editor, copy editing, developmental, line editing, proofreading is a bit of a caveat because you need to know formatting to be a proofreader, because that's part of being a proofreader if you're looking at manuscript editing, just FYI. But you can start on Fiverr, Upwork, Contra, anywhere you want to. I'm currently working up, because not all my clients have gone to publishing, and so I'm waiting for more of them to publish before I can apply to Reedsy, because I would love to get on that platform. I think I'll have a chance to raise my rates a little bit higher over there because I'll have more copy editing jobs over there. My copy editing jobs start at $45 for 5,000 words, because Fiverr works per the 1,000, not the single word. But I would love to go over there because I love copy editing. That's the one that I love the most because I have a mathematical brain, but just when it comes to words. But you really want to build your clientele, build those testimonials, and then you can launch your own website. That's what I'm currently in the process of, is building my own websites, using those testimonials, putting them over there, using the same rates. But if you don't know, Fiverr takes 20% of your earnings. So if I charged $50 for a beta read, I only brought home $40. If that took me 4 hours to read it, I just make $10 an hour. Not ideal, honestly. I'm aiming for more of like $20 an hour across my Fiverr jobs, just so I can earn a living off of it, because right now it is a part-time income for me and I'd like it to be a little bit more. And as I mentioned before, you can expand to other sites like Readsy, grow your own platform, things like that. Trying to go through the script as fast as I can. Also, you can think outside the box, which is something that I have done. So when I joined Fiverr, they had just launched the beta reading gig, and so I was very early on there. But also, at the time when I joined, I offered a query letter service. I could revise one, I could write one, or I could write a query letter and give you a list of agents looking for exactly what you've written. That is a very popular one. Sometimes I have people who don't even want me to write the query letter, they just want me to find agents, or write the synopsis. I offer that as well, because that can be very difficult to do. So that was something I offered. As I mentioned, there were 92 services. I think last time I checked, there were like 158. I don't know how many there are. If I check it, I'll put it up on screen so you can see it. You can write the blurb, you can do packages, and you can even create digital downloads for your frequently asked questions, or to create like little mini courses, which is going to dive into the next section I'm about to go into. But freelance editing is something that you definitely want to consider if you're good at that side of writing. Not every writer's good at editing. What didn't make sense. See, that's already bad. Don't judge me on my words. Don't judge me on my spoken words. My written word is so much better. But that's something to consider as well. And segue right into the digital downloads, we're going to talk about teaching jobs. Next up is teaching. So this was something that I did when I first graduated at the community college where I went to university, and I also did for a little bit when I came back home to DFW. So you can be an instructional associate, which is what I was. You could just be a college tutor, whatever their title is for it. Academic assistants, or you can expand to take on private clients. I know here locally there's a lot of after-school tutoring programs where you can just take your child there, your student, whatever the case is, and you can take on clients that way. And not everyone is set up for teaching. Like, I could never be a teacher. I can tutor. I cannot teach. Not everyone is fit to be a teacher. That is okay. I can teach you something over like the course of like an hour or something, but I can't do it for a whole year. Just not my thing. But the tutoring is a good one to earn some money, but only have it be part-time, and you're not like committed there or in a contract with anybody. Also, you can do virtual if that's something you're interested in. I know a lot of writers here on YouTube talk about teaching, is it Korea and China, I think is what it is. South Korea and China. There might be one for Japan, but that's a really common one, is teaching those students English. And I'm sure that's something you can find in almost every country at this point. And that's another one you can do. You can create an online course, which is kind of the direction I'd like to go for my editing and my clients there, which is like direct sale, or you can create a course and put it on Skillshare or Udemy. I prefer Udemy. I just find the courses to be a little bit more in depth, and I don't have a subscription there. I just pay for each course as I come across it, and I feel like that mindset, it just makes me more willing to get the course done as soon as possible, because I've actually paid for that course in particular. I'm not just paying a monthly fee, like a monthly subscription fee like I would on Skillshare. So that's just my preference. You can do whichever one you want. If Skillshare works for you, definitely go for it. But create a course on there. I think Udemy might be a little bit less saturated. That might be a better one to go with. Or you can do content creation, but it doesn't just have to be YouTube. If you're not comfortable with videos, that's totally okay. You could do LinkedIn, you could do Instagram, blog, write out posts. We are writers, which means we're readers, so we don't mind reading the content still. LinkedIn is really great for networking with other editors, I will say. I don't know necessarily about writers. A lot of the writers I see on there are just trying to sell you their book. They're not really trying to build a community. Instagram and YouTube are better places to build that community there. But anything that you want to do, you can provide writing tips, what to look for in revising or, publishing, or you can even offer like a little mini writing course, things like that. There are a lot of people who, unless you took, creative writing classes or got a degree in creative writing, you did not learn the in-depth process of writing, and that is something a lot of individuals would love. And so that's something that you can really consider. If you want to teach writing, you can do that. If you want to teach editing, or just come on YouTube, talk about publishing like I do, you can do that as well. Just we want to find a niche that you can, make some money from. It can be passive, it could be active, it could be a mix of both. It just depends on what you want to do. And just think outside the box. That's the biggest thing you want to do here, is go as far out and be like, how can I teach in a way that is sustainable for me? If you are still here, thank you so much. I think this is going to be longer than my Fiverr experiences video. But lastly, we're talking about publishing jobs. This is definitely one that you're going to have to spend the most time on, oddly enough, because everyone wants to get into publishing. Everybody wants to be an editorial assistant, be an editor in a big house. And it just, it's going to depend on how much time you have to put into it. If you've got a family, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, because to get your foot in the door, odds are it's an unpaid opportunity, at least for a short amount of time, and you do want to put that into consideration. However, to be an in-house employee, I have to have my list in front of me for this one second. You could be a developmental editor, a line editor, a copy editor, acquisitions, in sales, marketing, or in publicity. So you're probably thinking those aren't all writing jobs, but they're writing related jobs. If I had to be in a position in the writing and publishing industry and I was not the author, I would want to be a literary agent. I already know that. I love it. I want to advocate for my favorite authors. I want to get their books into the hands of more readers. That would be my thing. Which is the next one, literary agent. You could go into that. So that, again, you're going to be a literary agent associate, I think. Am I getting the title right? I'll put it up here if I mess it up. But associate agent, I think, is what that is. And that's going to be something where you take on a handful of clients. But again, literary agent is a commission-based job. So if you're not accustomed or aren't familiar with that setup, you definitely want to try a job in sales to see if it's comfortable for you. I've worked in sales for the last 3 years, nothing related to writing. And it's hard. I have had paychecks where I get paid every 2 weeks. One, most recently, was $200. I've also had a paycheck that was $3,000. The exact same job, same amount of hours. It depends on where the sales are. And for a literary agent, you make the money, first of all, when you sell them to a publishing house, and then you make the money when they get published. And you make, I believe it's 10%, if that's still the standard rate. But you have to think, if you're starting out and they don't get a publisher for a year or two, that's a year or two you're not actually making money. There might be a very small rate. I have a small hourly rate at my job. I think it's like $10 an hour, which is not a lot of money. I'm in Texas, but that's still not a lot of money anymore. So you've got to also put that into perspective. If you've already got kids, a family, whatever the case may be, literary agent may not be the best one for you to dive into. You may want to find one like editorial assistant, where you can start making a salary, even if it's only $40,000 a year, just so you can have some money saved up. So when you go into the other side of being an agent or sales, anything like that, you can go ahead and be more comfortable with it for your family. Lastly, network like crazy. So you need to be active on X, IG, Threads, anywhere these people are. I think Blue Sky was there for a second. I don't know if anyone's still using it, to be honest. I think they took too long to invite people and now it's dead. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Threads, I will say, for anybody who tells you, oh, Threads is dead, it's because they're not a writer. Okay, that is where my writing peeps are. They don't like X, they don't like the politics around it, they don't like how negative it's become, and so they all move to Threads. Go on there and just look up literary agents, look up publishing houses. That is how you will find these people. You want to interact with them, you just want to support them when they talk about authors you love. Definitely join in that conversation. That's going to be the best way to network, is very casually like that. We're writers, we're editors, we're not very formal people. Usually the formal stuff kind of, ick. No, we don't do that. So that's going to be the best thing. Go on Threads. There might be a couple on X, but most of them have left the platform for Instagram. And if they're on Instagram, they're probably on Threads as well. So, but that is it. That is all the different types of jobs you can look into, all the different industries you can go into with a creative writing degree. As I mentioned, if you can get that minor in business or marketing, I highly recommend it. Anything to do with the business. So for instance, if you're interested in marketing, acquisitions, publicity, things like that, then you could probably go ahead and get the marketing. If you're more into the sales or the editor part, look into general business and see if that's something you want to do. And there are multiple things. If you are interested in sales, in earning back the money per sale, not just selling a book, then you could maybe even look at finance, things like that. But overall, thank you so much for joining me today. I will have links to everything that I have a couple links already for publishing jobs where you can apply, look for them. Definitely bookmark those so you can check them every so often. But thank you so much for joining me today. If you liked it, please hit that like button, subscribe, share, all the clicky button things, and I will see you all next week. Bye.
Let's go. I got big dreams, I'ma do big things. Yeah, you see me on the big screen looking so clean. I don't move slow, I move fast right past anybody taking life for granted. Yeah, that's too bad. I'd be grateful for everything.